Peace and blessings, my honorable one, Asapo, Success Scholar, Haki Shakur, me here. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. Uh, I want to do a piece. A lot's been going on over the past couple of days, so I just want to give my analysis to all of this. First, I will begin with uh, Tariq Nasheed recent issue that, or incident, shall I say, where he kind of came up on this other guy on in a studio, and it reminded me of something that teenagers would do, actually, and or people that think everything is a game. But he went into a studio where Tommy Sotomayor, says his name, and D. Vlad, the DJ out in California, a Caucasian Jewish person, I believe, well, suspected Jewish person. Uh, but so Sotomayor was in the studio, and Mr. Nasheed uh, went there and wanted to give him a Coon Train Award, and he kept referring to him as Crispy, as well as using various profane uh, languages to describe him, bees and the N word, of course. And so it really got a little ugly. And I just want to let young people out here know that this is not how men deal with issues. We don't like continue to joke people and make people feel inferior. Uh, we don't try to start fights and call people N's and B's, the N word, and try to make people feel inferior. So I have to mention this because there's a lot of energy around that and the other issue that went on in New York, and I'm going to talk about that as well. But I just think that you reach a certain age where you don't engage people like that. So you don't try to embarrass people, to make jokes, to get views, and to uh, disrespect people like that. And so that could have led, that could have ended up a whole lot different on many different levels, because again, when you begin to create a type of hostile environment, um, as well as calling the individual crispy. Uh, Sometimes people may feel threatened, and eventually, if they have any sense of manhood, they're not going to take that. If they are able, for instance, I mean, and not everybody necessarily is a coward, you know, but even the most cowardly person can certainly uh, defend themselves at an appropriate time. So I just think that it's really not, it's not good, it's not funny. The point has been made. The real conscious individuals that are able to discern between who's real and who's not, uh, know what Sotomayor, his background and his level of intellectual development. And I would certainly have hoped that Tariq walking into consciousness, and walking into a level of responsibility for lead as being a leader would tone down some of the antics that he does on a regular basis. He has been doing it for years. So I mean, I just don't know why. Uh, on some levels, you can create and connect with some serious people on some serious conversations, but on the other end, you're still Hollywood. You still want to be infused into the foolishness, shall I say, and the being a prankster, because that was like being a what you would consider being a prankster, and people, silly minds gravitate towards these types of things. I didn't see it until it just popped up on my screen, after a while. I mean, and I have watched the series, all of them, uh, and I've, told people I thought that people should watch it. I mean, I think that, I watch pretty much every documentary. That's what, if you a serious student, a success scholar, you want to know what's going on. You want to know who is getting different pieces of information. So, um, so I just believe again that it just go to show just where black men are not growing, even through watching these documentaries. It should have been an evolutionary process even for him, but he more takes it as like that's just a small part of him because uh, you can't continue in that mindset when you reach various levels of knowledge, unless, of course, you simply didn't or you do not really appreciate the knowledge, and have a level of seriousness about what we're doing. And this is why some of the real scholars are not necessarily in that series. And you have the fringe, the hip hop mentality, like the people that bring him in Baltimore, and where they haven't necessarily grown up as real men, and they're still under the influences of of the hip hop culture and the street culture that has truly destroyed, created a hostile cultural environment within our communities. So, so those are some of my challenges and what I thought uh, was a very dangerous situation. Fortunately, it didn't turn ugly and violent and gangster, but it could have. And the other gentleman responded in a very adverse way, and it could have escalated. So it's just really sad that black men who are around my age, they're still interacting like children. And I've learned over time that you have to leave some of these so-called conscious people behind because they live for creating hostility. They live for arguments, and because they don't know what to do. They simply do not know what to do with their time and what to do with their life. And so, and the next thing. So let me go on to the next thing. Kind of bring both of them together. With the New York gangsters and what's going on with the guy Seti, who I thought at one time had some knowledge. I actually had him on my show. It's really interesting. How you see something, and I saw potential. I saw potential with individuals, well-meaning, people who think they're being well-meaning, and many people are well-meaning, but they just cannot overcome the child-like behavior, the 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 street behavior. And the street behavior is dangerous. I got to make it plain, and this is why folk tripping why I don't, go to certain places. I'm just like, man, there's like absolutely nothing, there that's going to practically change my life. And I've seen this over the past few years, how many of these individuals, uh, basically everybody kind of fighting for little crumbs, fighting for money because they haven't built up any occupational career life skills to create revenue streams. So this is what people live for. They totally live for this. This is how they're going to feed themselves instead of being homeless on the street. They live for uh, ignorant followers, to create battles. It's almost like like the how the Romans would throw people in the gladiators in to fight for different reasons. So I'm just saying that it's really sad all the way around from coast to coast. How black men are turning on each other like crabs and really like pigs in a pigsty trying to grab the food and intellectually rationalizing their uh, their sense of lack of development and their lack of skill development. So we gotta kind of clam and grab each other down so that we could get somebody to give us a couple dollars, a few hundred thousand people to give us money instead of building revenue streams for ourselves, and so and working cooperatively and harmoniously. And this is even these folks in Baltimore. They bring these different people, the New Yorksters, the polites, and of the world, and keep our people immature. By listening to these people repetitiously over and over and over. Uh, and I realized that I'm on a different level, so I know that 90-95% of the people are still heavily influenced because I had to go through a serious learning curve. I had to go through a adult growth phase, and I had to escape 90 to 95% of the ignorant masses and the miseducation and the poverty psychology and the poor health that is aimed at our community. And many people who should know better, they've been exposed enough to enough information, but the levels of oppression and poverty and frustration is deeply entrenched to where they have to uh, come out. It just comes out of them almost like it's ingrained and inbred within. So I'm not going to talk a lot about what the details of what happened up there in New York, but it's just really scary how I just don't want this to affect what's going on in Baltimore. So I say uh, we can't keep supporting these people that want to bring these people in and keep our people ignorant. And sometimes I see some of these old men that I've seen over the years. They still showing up, sitting in the front row, or falling asleep. And it's just really sad that many of these elders haven't grown in years. And so you got people showing up at these tired lectures and really infused with gang culture, infused with poverty, infused with all kind of weird teachings. The pedophilia, like the Yorks were up there in New York. All of this type of destructive forces coming together: anger, frustration, poverty. These different clashes of belief systems. Just clashing for power, for influence, for money, to feed each other. It's just like a Mad Max. Like, anybody see that Mad Max movie where was it Mad Max, or I don't know if it was it Shot Connor or Tina Turner? Yeah, where people were just like fighting, or like the Hunger Games. Go out there and fight. Go out there and slaughter each other. Whoever one only can come out. And many of these people, they're falling for these little traps. They're falling for these manipulative games, calling each other N's and B's. It's like, man, this is like serious. I mean, and yeah, I just think personally, and people might think you being a punk by stepping away, but you would be a better man, and you would be a better person for our community if you just step away from some of these people. So I'm encouraging, you all. If you all need me, I'm here. For those that want to be a responsible, uh, conscious brother or sister, reach out to me. Haki Ami, the Success Scholar, successscholarhaki.com. If you're really about building, reach out for me. I have several different unique, empowering operations. I'm not going to name everything that I have going on. Uh, People may not necessarily know right now, and I don't broadcast everything. Everything is not for everybody all of the time. So some things are going to be more of a small group, operating, and I'm no longer operating on a shallow level like some people. Uh, some people just want to bring people in and create this type of money grab, you know. And I have always been careful about who you align your brand with. So you always gotta assess that. So with that being said, I just wanted to put that out there because the documentary Hidden Colors has really inspired tens of thousands of young Black people for to want to know their history, to want to know what's going on, what happened, and where we are to go. But there's still a standard that our ancestors taught us about decency uh, and respect. And hopefully, we all need to begin that healing process. And there's no, when young people are so out out of the I'm not going to say mainstream, but out there in the fringe where they're so hostile and frustrated, and the leaders, the elders, the scholars are not able to heal them, to protect them, and feed them. Uh, they're not respecting, persons like myself and other individuals who are out here, and nobody really. It's not many elders out here actually that even have that level of credibility with any of these individuals to call and where they can call them and ask them, like, brother, you might want to change that. So I'm just saying that I'm gonna put it out there that me being what I perceive as being a respectable brother, wise elder, elder in wisdom. I'm gonna say I hope that these type of dysfunctional, insane, degenerate behaviors can cease, because it serves no purpose. Uh, People can think for themselves. They don't need you to say follow me, follow me, follow me. And that's how I've done things. I've made it my business to not say follow me unless you follow me somewhere that's important. Unlike some people bringing speakers in and saying, "Come, listen to this crazy speaker talk about some insanity." So I don't go to these things anymore, and neither should most of you. So it's time for us to really, truly get free. Support my movement, the operations of the Success Scholar. We're building uh, a true movement for empowerment. I have the best plan out here for our community, and so I say keep supporting those that have integrity, ethics, and morality that can uplift our community. Peace.